60,000 dead Gazans, that's about reasonable. Like that's not like so bad. But then if they like, how much should Israel go over that
Daniel, I don't.
point?
I think you understood my point very
Edward.
clearly. Faiz, go ahead.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
understand it. I just completely disagree because you're saying it's a slow thing, and I'm saying there is no such thing as slow thing because there is nothing happening there. If we wanted to
I was
eliminate
very
them, we
clear,
could.
Daniel. I was very clear. There's
Well,
only a
you were
certain
not.
threshold, a certain threshold, or a certain rate of change that Israel can utilize. They could only go so fast, and they are at their boundaries and have surpassed their boundaries right now, as it is. So, using the argument that well, they could just kill everybody if they wanted to. So, because they're not killing everybody all at once, that means they're not actually doing these
No,
terrible things.
that's not what I
That's
said.
I know I've talked to you before. I know what you're about. I want to move to Fayez,
No,
and we
yeah,
Okay,
can get back
okay.
to you. And maybe
yeah.
Fayez could
People,
address this too. So go ahead.
yeah, people come and say that if Israel wanted to annihilate the Palestinians, it could have already done that by now. I mean, why should it take so long? I mean, Israel has all the means to do that. Yes, Hitler had all the means to do that in a matter of a year, but Hitler took 6 years to commit the Holocaust and still was not able to kill all the Jews. And in fact, if you look at history, the persecution of Jews in Germany, in Europe, started in the early late 1800s or early 1900s.
No, it started
And the
long
That's a
before
good
acts,
point,
that.
actually,
yes, of
Fayez.
course,
I'd
of
like
course.
you to
1 minute,
complete that. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, thank you. So the actual Holocaust lasted for about 6 years. It could have lasted for another 4 years, 10 years, till every Jew was killed in Europe. But then other things happened. Hitler was stopped, and so on. So people who come here and say, "Oh, why should if Israel wanted to annihilate all the Palestinians, it could have already done so." Yes, it could have done so. So could have Hitler done so in a matter of 6 months. He had all the means at his disposal at that point in time to kill all the Jews at one time. He didn't do that because genocidal people don't do that. They take time because they need these things to sink in people's minds slowly so that the world
Yeah.
accepts what is going on. And that's what
Well,
is
and
happening over here
also
as
That
well.
in
it's
Germany too, by
also
the way, they
yeah.
started by taking Jews' radios away, then they took away their pets. This thing
Stream
was
yeah.
rolled out over a matter of years. First the laws, and then starting putting them in death camps and labor camps and this kind of thing. So it definitely doesn't have. And like a retard would definitely do that. Just go drop a bomb and fucking let's go kill, wipe them all out. Like think
Yeah.
of what Israel has done so far, right? Is already done so many atrocities that the world is not okay with. Can you imagine if they just went and did what you're talking about? I mean, it wouldn't last for a second. We'd like to think,
It
at least.
it takes a long time to none of us are born evil. At least I don't think so, but we definitely have the potential for to doing bad things.
You know
And so
the
Just want to ask.
any government, if they want to convince their citizens, and I understand. Look, I'm not stupid. I understand that Israel is a very different place from North America because, anyways, so it takes time. It takes time to get people to become extremists in any government. If you look like at that through the history of the world, it's a matter of it's a process. And then like Fayaz is saying, it's a process. And then also, yes, I mean, maybe Russia was able to do this sort of thing, instant genocide of millions and millions of people, and the Chinese as well. But that's because it was a different time. Those two governments had absolute control over every part of the information sphere, and they couldn't be opposed. And China and Russia's massive landscapes. So what a lot when they were committing horrific acts against people, they sort of just shipped them off into the middle of nowhere, into these concentration camps, and nobody saw anything. They just disappeared, and it's yeah, it's a horrific
Okay,
process.
Matthew. I just want to ask, what kind of weapons do you think the Israeli will use against the Palestinians in Gaza? What kind of weapon to kill them all? What kind of weapon?
Yeah. So
What kind?
it's
A nuclear
I
weapon? They're
no
gonna.
no.
Okay, what kind of weapons? What kind of weapon right now the Israeli didn't use?
I'm
They're
not.
using everything right now. Just
No,
1 minute,
Yeah,
they
I'm
Matthew.
not.
yes.
I mean, I
Matthew,
don't
1
know if
minute,
this
1
is.
minute.
Yeah, I
Matthew,
don't
one
know. I
minute,
don't know
one
the
minute.
different kinds of weapons. Yeah.
Okay,
No,
I'm not
they
sure.
Matthew,
literally
1 minute, please.
they
Faiz, 1 minute. Faiz, 1 minute. They are using everything. They're using all kind of bombs. They're using all kind everything they're using right now. They're killing
Yes.
people, hundreds and hundreds of people right now. You're not satisfied? You're giving the Israeli government excuse. Oh well, if they want to kill all the Palestinians, they will do it right now and get
Uh,
rid of them. No, they can't.
my friend, what's your
You-
name?
My name is Zahid.
Zahed. I
So
think you misunderstood what I'm saying. I'm
no,
not
not
sure
you,
if I.
Matthew. Not
No,
you.
no.
Not you. No,
Oh,
not
okay.
you. You didn't ask this question. He did. He's giving an excuse that he's saying, oh, well, the Israeli, if not unmerciful, they will kill all the Palestinians right away. They're not merciful, man.
no
Jews are
Israel
killers.
Zahid
Israelis are
Israel
killers.
has in this last year 2 years, even though I don't know much about bombs, but they have used every bomb that is at their possession. Okay,
Everything.
How
The
do you know
biggest
that? How do you
everything.
know
bomb.
that?
They
You have like a
How you
report
know that?
sheet.
We saw
yeah. Can I
them. We
can I
saw
can I
them.
yeah
People
can
are
I
dying there. I'm talking to them every single day. I know what
I
kind of bombs you're using. Faiz, wait a minute, Faiz. The second question is, what was it? Why you don't send the prisoners or the what do you call them, the Israeli what, the one they had it on Hamas, with Hamas, the hostages, why you don't send the hostages out? Okay, what about the Palestinian hostages?
Well, you mean the ones who committed crimes? I don't know. They're sitting in prison waiting for appeal or something.
Okay, there are over 10,000 of Palestinians, all of them are criminals, all of
Well,
them
most
in
of
your
the
law. Listen, in your law they are
grounds don't
criminals.
justify an apple
For
treatment.
us,
You should know
for
that.
us, and the whole world, they're not criminals.
I'm sure Hamas are not criminals for you either, buddy. But
Of course, they're not criminals. They're
for that matter of
fighters.
fact, most of the Western countries.
No, 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 no.
No,
They're,
no,
they're
no, no,
not
no, no,
Hamas.
no. You're
No, no.
lying.
And
You're lying.
by the way, hold on. Even by Israeli law, a lot of the people that have been imprisoned, Palestinians that have been imprisoned in Israeli prisons, they're not even criminals by Israeli law. That's why they don't charge
Hold
them.
on, but
They
they're
just
not
sit there.
Yeah.
applying.
You want to
Megan,
tell me
they're
that
not
10 years
applying
old?
Israeli civil law.
Listen, listen,
They're
listen,
applying
listen,
Israeli
listen, listen,
military law, but which
listen.
they could be
You're
criminal. Yeah,
putting,
go
Even
on.
under
no, no, listen,
military
listen,
law, even under
listen.
military law, you cannot convict 10-year-olds and
A 10 years
7-year-olds.
old kid, a 10 years old kid who throw rocks is a criminal?
Well,
A
okay,
5 or
yeah,
11 years old
yeah,
kid
you can be criminal.
is,
If your son of 10 years
you
old
got kids,
goes
you
out
got
and
kids
throws
in
a
the
rock
prisons.
at a woman, they will go
Yeah.
to
Oh, the
police. They will,
woman,
whether
the
you like it or
woman.
not.
Oh, you woman. You put him in prison for 11 years. Oh, you put him in 11 for the rest of his life. That's a law. You put a 11 years old kid for the rest of his life in a prison, and you want to say,
Anybody,
what about
anywhere.
Israeli hostages? Okay, take us. Let our prisoners leave the prison, and after that, you take your prisoners. As simple as that. You're
Then
not
we'll take your
gonna
country.
get
Yeah.
your
can I
prisoners. Listen, you're not gonna get your prisoners, even if you bombed all Gaza. Even if you killed all the Gaza people, even the hostages will die with us. Simple as that.
So you're ready to sacrifice. So okay, that's one way to say that you're ready for 2 million of your brethren to
This is
die
not our
in Gaza.
first
That's one way.
war. Listen, this is not
They
our
have been
first war with you,
sacrificed
and
for
it's
the
not
last
gonna be the
80
last
years,
war.
Oh, I'm sure it's not going
for
to be the last.
100 years. Hey, brother, they have been sacrificed for 100 years. You are asking him, are you ready to sacrifice? Of course he is. And you forgot the whole history. A country is
I
occupied.
don't.
They made a new country called Israel, and then they are allowed to clean the people because we don't like
Wait, that
them.
was
We are
Palestinian
Arab. They
history.
are.
There was a
Hey,
Palestinian
man, be
country
a little bit
beforehand.
logic. Talk a little bit logically. Why don't you just talk about what they have done in the last 100 years? Since 1917 they have been killing these people.
okay I just wanted to address Zahid. Can I address something? Yeah.
Bless you, brother.
What is your name? I don't know Hebrew, so I can't read your name. Danim. Okay.
No, it's not
Danim,
Hebrew. I'm Arabic.
you
I am
okay.
Arabic.
No. The other guy, I think his name is Danim. So this is you have to look up a guy called Mark Garlasco. Mark Garlasco used to work for the Defense Department for the Pentagon in the US. He is now a freelancer. He has researched as to what kind of bombs Israel has used in the last 2 years. And he has published a report. It is available on, if you Google it, Mark Garlasco's report on Gaza, you will find his report, which is accessible to everybody. And he lists out the kind of weapons, chemical weapons, and other kinds of weapons that Israel has used in Gaza to kill people. And he says that 70% of the weapons that Israel has used are big bunker buster bombs of sizes above 500 tons.
Wait, why do you think
Imagine.
Israel uses bunker buster bombs? Why do you think?
I will tell you. If you think they penetrate and destroy the tunnels, they don't do that. They don't do that. The bunker buster bombs do not do that. Okay? They destroy sideways. Their reach on the sideways is much bigger than their reach in the depth. They don't go that much deep. That's what I'm saying. So I know what you're going to say. So go and read him and find out why Israel is doing it. Israel has used all kinds of chemical weapons, phosphorus, and every other nerve gas. They spread nerve gas, which brought about some kind of a skin disease into 2024. Okay? So everything that you can think of under the sun that has been done to the Palestinians. And what is his name? The heritage minister of Israel, Eliyahu Amichai Eliyahu. He is on record having said on Channel 12 of Israel, he says that we don't want to kill Palestinians. We want to inflict such pain on Palestinians, which will be much worse than their death.
Fayez,
This is what he says.
that's the same guy, by the way, who also said nuclear weapons are not off the table on Gaza. He's a
Yes, he's the
nutcase,
same
man.
guy. He's the
He's, by
same
the
guy.
way, yeah, he's not some low level minister. Like,
No,
you
he's a
know,
heritage minister. He's a heritage minister.
yeah, I
Then we have
believe he
all
was
the other
part of,
ministers.
believe he was
You
also
have,
part of some cabinet meetings as well. I'll look into to verify
I
that
mean,
though.
on October 9th, Denim, this is what I will tell you. On October 7th, I called Hamas as a terrorist organization. On October 8th, I called Hamas as a terrorist organization. On October 9th, I heard the president of Israel, Herzog, say that there are no innocent civilians in Gaza.
What
There
is
are
the full
no
quote? What is the full quote for him saying that? What is the full quote? Come on, don't crop it out. What is the
what?
full quote? What is the full quote?
What is a full what? I can't hear you properly.
What is the full quote he said? He didn't just say there are only animals in Gaza. He didn't just say that. He said that how can you
No,
have
no, no,
a
no, no, no.
missile in
He
your
did.
kitchen
It's
and not
it's
know
not.
about it?
It's
Don't crop out
yeah.
the quote.
In Israel, 85% of the Israeli adults are in the IDF. So can I go and bomb any house in any house because an IDF soldier lives in that house? 80% of the Israelis adults are in the IDF, either as a reservists or as active soldiers. That
You
means,
do
do I have?
realize reservists and active soldiers are not the same thing.
Oh,
Reservists
sure. Reservists
are
can
they
be
not?
called upon to fight in the war anytime up to the age of 45 and even up to the age of 75. They are called upon to fight in non military executions in the military. Okay. So don't tell me all these things. We know your Hasbara has been busted. Okay. Israeli Hasbara, in spite of spending millions and millions of shekels, stands busted. Your disinformation stands busted. So don't come here and try to rehash the same lies that you people have been saying for the last 80 years to hoodwink the world and keep stealing Palestinian lands. No, we the rest of the world are not going to allow you to do that anymore. That's why everywhere you go, you are being spat upon. Israelis are being spat upon.
To
Israelis
be
are being
fair, though,
denied. Oh, you want me
oh
to be
yeah,
fair with
Wait, the
oh yeah,
genocidal
Zionists
oh
ask you
yeah.
to be
bastards?
fair, but
You want me to
why?
be fair?
Oh
You
yeah,
want me
oh
to be
yeah. So yeah,
fair
so yeah.
with you
You
want
go
you want to
any
kill you want
Palestinian
to
goes to
you
any Arab country, they're denied citizenship there. So I don't know I don't know how much Arab world really likes Palestinians. I'm not
doesn't
sure about
matter.
that.
It
Oh,
doesn't
that's not. Oh,
matter.
now it
It
doesn't.
doesn't
Of course
matter.
it
It
doesn't.
doesn't
Of
matter. We
course
are
it
talking
doesn't.
about you. Your
This
genocidal state.
this is
We are
like the
talking about
same
you.
old
Your
tyrant
Jack, can
genocidal
I
mentality,
ask?
bro.
state.
It doesn't work. Dude,
Jack, can I ask?
listen. Wait, no,
Look,
just a
look.
second. I
Okay,
want
You
you
are
to
Haspa.
go
understand.
on, go.
You have to
Hold up.
understand one thing.
One sec, guys. One sec. You have to understand, like these little tactics you guys have of like, oh, the Arab world treats the Palestinians this way. This is not gonna work against the countless videos of you guys committing a genocide. Like people are watching this, and if you think, oh, it's just people under 30, no, I would say it's people under 40 years and younger who are already seeing what Israel's doing, and I'm not gonna lie, it's even gone beyond Israel at this point. From what I've seen from like friends who are not into politics and people I talk to who are not into politics at all, it's become a reflection of this Jewish state has become a reflection of the Jewish people. And it's not limited to Palestine anymore. I think Palestine is just where people are starting to see, but now they're like looking at Jews and what are Jews doing in America and what there's conspiracy theories. There's all these things happening and it's not going well. And I think it's just like history repeating itself. And the Israelis or the Zionists refuse to care or notice what's going on. And it's not going to go well for you guys. Like this, no matter how much you spend on money or propaganda and these little talking points, it's not going to work when we're seeing you slaughter. Like you can't explain and call these people human shields and say, yeah, that's why they deserve to die. You're not going to kill what you call 60,000 human shields and think the world's going to be cool with that. You guys need to wake the fuck up. I'm sorry, man. Like
Okay, wait,
none of
hold
this
on.
is a justified explanation for anything you're doing.
And Jack, this 60,000 or 65 right now is just a number of the people who got killed and they came to the
Jack, can I
hospitals.
ask?
Okay, so the
Hold
people
on.
you
Jack,
got
Let me finish.
big number of people who is still under the rebels. Nobody knows what's the number of them.
Jack,
They
let me
may be
ask you
over
this:
a
How
hundred or
many?
200,000 people are dead right now. There's over two, I believe, I believe there's over 200,000 people are dead under the rebels.
Jack, let me ask you this:
Can I?
How
I'll
many
just.
Gazans
I
are you
want.
ready to sacrifice for the propaganda, for the campaign against Israel, to expose
I
the
want.
Zionist regime? How many Gazans are you ready to sacrifice?
Wait, sorry. What's the question? How many what?
How many
What?
Gazans, or like Palestinians in general, are you willing to sacrifice
What do you
in
mean
order to,
sacrifice? Who
like,
sacrificed?
It's nothing to
basically,
do. It has nothing to do with. I don't want one Palestinian to die. You guys are slaughtering these people, right? Like no one wants anyone to die. I don't want any Jews to die. I don't even blame Jews for the actions of the Israeli government,
wait,
right?
I
Like
thought you said that Israeli government reflected on the Jews. So
yeah,
what's
yeah.
the turnaround?
I'm talking about the world's view on what's happening right now from what I see, right? In terms of like my friends who never get into politics, I'm seeing, oh, Nick Fuentes videos are getting 1 million likes and every all random friends who I have that don't know anything about anything are starting to understand
if
certain
I could
things, right? And
say
just let
something.
me finish. You can say something, just let me finish. What's happening is no one here is saying, "Oh, this has nothing to do with optics." My family lives in Palestine. My family's being killed and living under this bullshit, right? And you guys coming, and it's funny because you guys honestly spread your own bad propaganda. You guys decide to live stream this genocide, and it's ironic because you're the same people who won't let any of the international media come into Gaza and document anything that's happening.
Wait, hold on. No
And
international media is generally allowed onto the front lines of a war. Nowhere.
this is
No,
not the front. You
never.
don't need to take them to the front lines. You can just take them to any access to this war, right? Like there's been I'm pretty sure I think most of the large media companies put out a statement against the suppression that's going on in Gaza and how the Israeli government has refused any international media to be allowed there, right? And I mean, there's media in Ukraine. I've seen videos, like Adam said, I've seen videos of politicians and random influencers go to the front lines of Ukraine, right? But Gaza is too scary to, allow.
Wait, hold on.
But also
Random
the last thing I'm gonna say is the last thing
but
I'm gonna say. Wait, you're in the
you've
Matrix, man.
never
No,
seen a
he's in
news
a
report
bunker.
or anything
It's
like
a
that.
Oh,
siren going off. He's in a bunker.
he's in the Matrix. He's in the Matrix. But
They only have
what they're
bunkers
gonna
there.
say is like they're worried about journalists getting killed or something. You've killed and slaughtered more journalists than anyone in the last 2 years.
Do you know
So don't tell me it's
why?
about journalists
Uh,
either.
I would like to speak. Okay, thank you. I have a speech impediment, so I'll try to be quick. I'm from Lebanon. I live in America. Now I hate the Zionists, but my grandfather was killed by the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And I asked my grandmother, how would they do that to the populace? And she said it was because we thought that they would be accepted under the banner of international Islam, the Ummah, but they were power hungry. And we see what that caused. I think that the same thing is happening now in Gaza and all across the Arab world. I know Zionism is evil, but I'm very honest with my enemy, and I put the responsibility on the Muslim people like myself, and I do think it's best that non-Arabs stay out of the line of conflict because it's already a shit show.
I'd like to respectfully
Well put.
disagree, by the way, in terms of people who are not Arabs staying out of this. I'm Palestinian. I think anyone and everyone should do what they can to stop a genocide. You brought up Lebanon, and if you go to the Lebanese Civil War, which started before any Palestinians, there was Christians killing Muslims. There was Muslims killing Christians. There was Shia killing Muslims. There was Sunnis killing other Shias. There was Christians killing other Christians. If you want to make it a PLO thing, that's whatever. I mean, the PLO is irrelevant at this point, but um, yeah,
Sir,
the Lebanese civil war and all the people that died in it, you can go and look at that list. And if you're gonna try to blame like the Palestinians or the PLO on just that, that's just
I, I,
preposterous.
I, I, it can't be, be preposterous to you be, because you didn't live through it. So your opinion, which is valid, is very weak because it's not a byproduct of the uh, event, but a historical account of what happened. I'm telling you, as a Lebanese and a Muslim, what happened to my my family and who was responsible for the death of my grandfather. I'm not going to blame the Zionists, even though they're devils, all of them, but I'm going to be Arab about the situation and you know what tribe I'm against and what tribe I also need to fight.
I mean, listen, I
Okay.
don't also like, by the way, like you being Muslim, respectfully, it doesn't have anything to do with this, but um And if you want to criticize the PLO, by all means, like probably most people in here don't like the PLO or the PA or Fatah or anything, right? But
I'm
if your
sorry.
idea,
I I
just
want
second. Hey,
to
I
I
didn't
want to
interrupt you,
yeah
bro.
I
Just a
want
second,
no
just a
my
moment,
my
man. No,
apologies.
just wait. Just you can hold it. Just let me finish what I'm saying. The idea that because I wasn't there in the Lebanese civil war, that my opinion matters less, I don't agree with that. I think I can read in all perspectives of history on the Lebanese civil war and see what happened and come out with a more nuanced perspective than and by the way, sorry for whatever happened to your family. Obviously, like sad anyone gets killed, but it's more than just about what happened to your family. It's a whole situation. The Lebanese civil war was so many different groups getting killed and so many different groups killing each other. And if you look at why um, that civil war happened and why all those groups were even pushed into that place, you might get a different account. And anyone, by the way, anyone in the audience or on stage, go look up what happened in the Lebanese Civil War and who was killing who and which groups were involved, and you can come up with your own answer, your own reason. But the PLO today is a bit irrelevant, right? They don't even exist. We're talking about the genocide on Gazans. You can have whatever opinion you want about Hamas. You can love them, hate them. You can hate all Zionists, love them, hate them, some of them or all of them. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the genocide on the people of Gaza. That's it.
And I
Yeah, Jack,
understand.
I wanted to say
I
something.
sir,
Yeah,
please, if
yeah,
I
okay.
could,
After
thank you.
you.
Yeah,
I
you can go after
under
him first.
I understand how you feel, but with respect to the access of information that your generation has, it never beats first hand experience. And if the Ummah, from a political point, political, uh, agrees that there is a problem, every faction is extremely relevant.
And as you can go ahead right now, but I just want to say I also have firsthand accounts of what happened in the Lebanese civil war. Many of my friends are Lebanese. I've talked to their parents about it and the horrific things they lived under. So I'm not just going off of like historical context or history. I also have firsthand accounts. But go ahead, Fayez.
Okay. No, I was going to touch upon something else. The casualty numbers in Gaza, the officially it's something like 60 to 65,000, they say right now, which includes
Yes.
about 20,000 kids. But there was a report a few months back published by Harvard University, but this report disappeared from literally everywhere in the world. It's no longer anywhere. This report said the total casualty figure is about 400,000. And like I said, it disappeared. You cannot find it. You may find screenshots of this, but you may not be able to find the actual article that published this. Anyway, but recently, the Lancet, which is a very reputable British medical magazine, they published a report in January 2025, and they estimate that up until January 2025, the total casualty in Gaza stands at about 680,000, which includes people who died of starvation, who died of diseases, who are kind of still stuck in the rubble, the buildings rubbles and so on. So they estimated in January of this year that the total death toll is at about 680,000. So I think we can easily say, by the time Israel, flattens the entirety of Gaza, probably 1 million people would be gone. So Gaza had a population of 2.1 million. So 1 million would be gone by the time Israel flattens everything. And the remaining 1 million would be maimed, injured, mentally disturbed, and so on. That's what I wanted to mention.
We should also bring up Netanyahu's recent comments threatening, that he'll go after Hamas and Qatar and this country, whatever country, and he also said Beijing. And he is accusing China of arming Hamas, uh, giving them training, weapons, money. And he said we'll even bomb them in Beijing, which is unprecedented and completely insane to think you want China to come in as an active participant in this. They are, passively participating, but actively. Um, so I don't know what Netanyahu's thinking. I don't know what Israel's thinking, but it's like they're looking to widen this so it becomes a U.S. China issue, and Israel can slowly um, genocide and take over all of Palestine. That's my
Sounds
opinion.
so desperate, doesn't it? It's like, and
They're,
by the way, yeah, the Zionist regime is extremely strong, powerful, and stuff, but the way they're acting is extremely desperate, and the crash outs are crazy. Like attacking Qatar is wild, and saying, "Oh, you're harboring this group." No, the United States asked Qatar to literally host Hamas so that they can have an open channel, right? The Biden administration asked them to do that. If they didn't want them to do that, they could tell or have the U.S. ask Qatar to ask, to force them out. They didn't do that. They just went and bombed Qatar, the country, right? So,
Jack, they were in Israel had gone to Doha multiple times too to meet with with negotiators in Qatar, knowing that Hamas is also there. So
uh,
not just in Egypt. So they've gone. So they've accepted this. And you're right. They did. Israel and the U.S. both asked Egypt and Qatar to mediate.
didn't the Egyptians also foil like a Mossad plan
Yes.
to attack Hamas in
Yes, they did.
Cairo? And
Yeah.
see, like these moves, in some ways, it's clearly like, this is a bad diplomatic move and this kind of thing. But in other ways, um, you know, the Israelis, they can't really survive with peace in the region. Like they need constant conflict. The peace is like not a long-term solution for them. They can't have stability of their neighbors and, prosperous neighbors around them that could potentially be some kind of threat. That's how they see things, right? So Egypt is
So
another country where they know is building up a large military. And although they don't have a strong economy, they're being subsidized militarily by the United States. And they're pushing a lot of their economic resources to building up this military. And I know the Israelis see it as a threat because they called them out in the UN recently about their troops in the Sinai and them building up and bolstering their navy and their air force. So they're they're trying to pick all these battles, and in some ways strategic, and in other ways it's like clearly like leading to their own destruction, right? In many different ways. So it'll be interesting to see what they're doing and how it works out for them. But I don't think Netanyahu is necessarily leading. Like if peace is the goal, right, or safety for Israelis, I think Netanyahu is leading them to the opposite, right? I think he's leading them to more wars, more destruction, and more bombs falling on. So we'll see.
That's right. That's true. That's true. But just actually, Hamas set up office in Qatar in the year 2012, 2012, and with the blessings of President Obama, because before that Hamas was had its offices in Syria, and when they had to leave Syria, they were going to go to Iran because Iran wanted to host them or set them, but the US felt that if they went all the way to Iran and set up their offices there, US will not be able to control them and bring them to the table. So US said, why don't you set up their office and invite them to to live in Qatar. So that's how Hamas started living in Qatar, their political leaders. And since then, the US and Israel have been sending their envoys to Doha to negotiate with Hamas. And Netanyahu has been sending money to Hamas, giving money to Hamas through Qatar, and so on. This has been going on for, I mean, you're talking since 2012. So for you to
Fayez,
suddenly wake
Fayez,
up, for you
Fayez,
to
you said,
suddenly wake,
Fayez, you
All right,
say
can I
if he
complete,
if he
Zahid?
could
Netanyahu,
Yeah,
complete the phase
yeah.
no,
If
no,
I
complete,
can,
please.
Netanyahu sent money to Hamas.
Let Fayez complete, please.
yeah, let me complete, and then perhaps you can correct me or confirm. So yes, Netanyahu sent money to Hamas when they became the government in Gaza. And so what I'm saying is, this is, I mean, Hamas, if you want to call it a terrorist organization, has been in Gaza, in Doha since 2012. You have been negotiating with them, you have been talking to them, and how is it that suddenly you realize that, oh, Hamas is a terrorist organization and Doha has allowed them to set up an office over there, and we cannot allow it, so we will bomb it? I mean, and you want the rest of the world to believe that you are a genuine peacemaker. Come on, guys. We are not that stupid.
Neither are the Israeli people at this point, I think, and it's causing even more division in Israel, which is weakening Israel. But go ahead, the person that wanted to speak,
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
Zahid
this is
wanted to ask something.
go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, no. I'm telling you, this is about Netanyahu giving Hamas money. That's a lie, brother. That's a lie. It's an insult to Hamas, to
What
the
do you mean?
leaders of
No,
Hamas.
no, 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 no.
That's an
Zahid,
insult.
I will tell you.
Okay. You when I talked, when I talked to you, you got mad.
Well, we're not understanding what you're saying. Can you just to
Wait, let
make it
him
clear?
elaborate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Zahid, go ahead, bro. Just
yeah.
elaborate so we
Faiz,
understand what you're talking about.
yeah. Faiz, you say Netanyahu gave Hamas money, right? Or I'm wrong?
Just go into like what's
Yeah.
wrong. Just go into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
No,
saying? You don't
you
have to like.
complete, and then
No, no, no.
It came from
So
Qatar.
okay,
Qatar
okay.
gave
Let's
Netanyahu
be
money.
nuanced about it, right? Let's be nuanced about it. Qatar was
Okay.
asked to give Hamas money, right? The only way money gets through, if you're talking about cash, is it needs to be coordinated with the Israeli government, right? So to allow that money to go through, the Israeli government needs to allow it to go through. Who's making the drop off, this, that, and the other, it doesn't really matter. There was a coordinated effort to allow uh, Qatar to fund Gaza, right? In terms of people say, oh, he gave it to Hamas, sure, but who's in charge of Gaza at the time was Hamas. So the money does go from Qatar, goes through Israel. The Israelis drop off the cash to Gaza, and then Hamas uses that, right? That's what he's saying. So go ahead, Zahid.
Beautiful.
yeah,
Okay. This way. This. Yeah. This way. This. Yeah. This is beautiful. You're right. But not even from Israel. From the banks, Bank of Palestine, those banks, they allowed those numbers to go through from the banks and go inside Gaza. But in the same time, Faiz, in the same time, it was a big prison. It was a big prison. Hamas offices outside right now. They are in Qatar. Right now, some rumors say they want to push them out. They want to push them to, they say, Jordan. They want to push them to somewhere else. And that's what they're doing. Right now, Israelis threat, this government threat Hamas or the whole area, the whole region, the Middle East. Anybody will take them, we're going to hit them. Let's say if they went to Turkey, they're going to attack Turkey. If they went to Egypt, they're going to attack Egypt. Right now, Qatar, they're going to stay in Qatar. And there's no way Israelis are not going to hit Qatar again. They will. They will have to hit Qatar again. That's for a fact. But I misunderstood you that when you say that Netanyahu gave them the money. I thought, when Jack say he explained it, yeah, you are right. Go ahead.
Can I say something real quick?
We can't hear you that well. You're very low.
Can you hear me now? Better.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Right.
So, from I know no one here knows me. I live in the United States. Always lived in the United States. I'm not Jewish. I'm not Palestine. I grew up Catholic. And my take on this is, the world is awakening to the genocide that is happening in Palestine because it is a genocide. And I think a lot of people, including myself, we can recognize there's certain actions that Hamas has done that's sickening, very sickening. But that doesn't, you know, excuse the genocide that's happening. And, people in the United States are getting sick and tired of their tax dollars going to this genocide, to going to Israel. And even if we weren't giving money, I would still be sickened. And it's clear as day that it is genocide. And if someone on here really does not believe there's genocide going, I hope and pray you can do some of your own work. I have changed as a human being. I used to be, when the United 9/11 happened, I used to be, go get the Muslims, fuck them. We need to go retaliate. Then I got woken up. I grew as a person and my eyes open up. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Okay, you know, are we really getting justice? Are we getting oil? And I, now know a lot of it was about money. A lot of it was not about justice. And I hope and pray that you can open your eyes and really see this. I have nothing to gain by saying this. I'm not Palestinian at all. Zero. I'm not getting paid. I'm not living into the propaganda thing. And if you really feel that this genocide that's happening is propaganda, please, please wake up and do your own soul searching on the truth. Because yes, Hamas's actions are many of them are horrific. But as someone, I used to work for the Department of Homeland Security, I used to study terrorism, terrorist organizations. There's a reason why Hamas is growing. If someone killed my family, a group of people, I would be angry. That would turn me into an extremist. And the more death and genocide that happens, there's more extremist people that are going to be out there. And this war, or not even, it's not, I don't even consider a war now. It's just pure genocide. And yeah, just do some soul searching if you really believe that there's no genocide happening.
Okay, you can add something, David, about October 7. Let's say you can ask even anybody. If somebody came, you're in a house, inside your house, and you're having a good time, and somebody built a wall around your house, a big wall, and he didn't let you out. He keep like throwing rocks at you or whatever, hitting you. What is the first thing you're gonna try to do? What's the first thing you think you're gonna
Well,
be doing?
I would fight back, and I'm not. I'm off. Understand the root cause of a lot of this fighting back from why people join Hamas, why they're fighting. I get that, but at the same time, most of my what I was saying was calling out Israel for their actions. So I get that fighting back and throwing the rocks. I mean, if I was a kid and I saw, a government from another country, which if I was Palestinian and I was a kid and I saw the way they treated my parents, that would turn me into an angry person. That would turn me into probably a person that has a lot of rage, and I would want to fight those people. Does that answer your question or your comment?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It does. So they have excuse. The way you were saying it, and everybody's talking about October 7th. That's our excuse. Like they put that wall around Gaza for almost 17 years. 17 years. It's
But it
so
does make it
one
right.
day when when they broke the wall, everybody blamed them. Why are you breaking the wall? Well, I'm inside the prison for 17 years. Nothing comes in, nothing comes out. Electricity or whatever, it's in your hand. You're not giving me any rights. You torture me every single day. So it's a normal thing to break the wall. And that's what happened on October 7th. Very simple.
I hear you on that one. and there's part of that I definitely agree with. But then I do think, and this is not going taking away from the genocide that Israel is doing in Palestine, and it has been, but I do think there was some actions that I would disagree with Hamas on. But also, I'm saying that as a person that I haven't been attacked. I wasn't living in that wall. And how far would have I taken it? I don't know. I can't say that. And I would like to say I wouldn't have gone as far as going to the one concert that was happening or the festival and kidnapping, torturing those people. I would like to say I wouldn't have done that, but also I didn't live that way. So
Yeah.
I just I think moving forward, and I know it's so easy for me to say moving forward when I wasn't in that hellhole, when I wasn't in that prison. Because yes, I do consider it a prison, forced prison. I wouldn't even call it prison because prisons, when someone actually does something wrong, I mean, I would consider enslavement traps or whatever you want to call it. You know, I
Okay,
just
let's say,
other countries stop
yeah,
it.
let's say it's a war. And problem is the Israeli think right now, if they got their hostages back, this war will end. Okay. No, there's not. Do you think the Gaza people will stop the war right now because you demolish all Gaza? No. They have nothing else to lose now. They will try to break the wall again and again and again until you recognize their rights. You killed a million, there is another million. You killed, you, you have to, if you want them to stop, if you have to kill them all, kids and families and whatever. And that's what the Israel is doing right now. This government, they want to kill everybody. They want to get rid of all of them. They don't want to hit them with the nuke because if you hit Gaza with the nuke, this area, you're not going to use it again. It's going to be gone forever. You're not going to you get anything benefits from it. So no, they're killing people day after day. In the end, we're going to finish them. That's the way they're thinking. They don't even the Israeli government right now. They don't even think about the hostages. Even if Hamas said right now, okay, here's your hostages, let's stop with the war. They're not gonna stop. They're not gonna stop. So that's excuse about the hostages is a full shit.
Do you have any hope for things getting better soon? And this
No,
is
sir.
on anyone on
No,
stage.
no, I don't believe so. The war keep going. The genocide will be keep going. It doesn't matter how much the world put a pressure on the Israeli government. The Israeli government, they have the U.S. Trump. Maybe after, maybe if when Trump leave the office and his department, maybe somebody else will come and tell the Israelis, you know what, I can't feed you anymore. I can't feed you. I can't send you
Um,
messages.
Guys,
Can't.
hi
hey
Salaam.
Hakim. Yeah, I definitely have hope for things getting better. Do I know of a plan that would even be executed? No, but I still have a hope. Go ahead, Hakim.
I don't think so. Uh, because the problem is not only Israel. I know that I'm not a fan of Hamas. I see Hamas as an extremist group, and there is a lot of extremists in the Middle East. But the problem is the U.S. Look, Israel is only the tip of the knife. So the problem is the U.S. and the people who are controlling the media and controlling the government. Whatever party or political pool will be in power in the US, either to be the Republicans or the Democrats, it's always been the US. The problem is always the US. Do you know why? Because we haven't seen war only in the past 2 years in Gaza. Because Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, Sudan, Somal, even not in the Middle East, or even in Guatemala, Vietnam, in every part of the world, this country maybe I know maybe most of the Americans are not with or ignorant of what the U.S. and the CIA is doing. I'm not that guy with the conspiracy theorist and this kind of shit, but on the ground, how many people have the Israeli government or the Israeli regime killed? How many? 1 million, 2 million? It fails to comparison with if we compare it what the U.S. have done throughout uh, these decades of wars in the Middle East. If you see what they did in Iraq, and they did that for the retaliation for what? For uh, bombing or doing this suicidal airplanes in New York. No Iraqi was in that planes, but they just attacked Iraq and they also attacked Libya and they have part of what's happening in Yemen for decades and also in Sudan. And there's a direct come on, Congo. They have a democratic elected president, and then they have like the CIA have planned and uh, did whatever they can to dethrone this democratically elected guy. And in Guatemala, in Vietnam, they always attack countries and they destroy countries and then they play the good guy or they try to convince us that they bring democracy. And they even do horrible things for countries that didn't. For example, Venezuela have done nothing to the U.S. They sanctioned this country. They used their allies to make this country to break from within. So the real problem is the U.S. The Israel is only an extension of this
You know,
horrible
Saudi
country.
Arabia is also involved in what's happening in Venezuela.
I know, but the problem is the U.S. I know there is like here in the
Yeah,
States
but
there is
we need to
American
call out,
citizens,
you got to call
but
out all parties.
yeah. So, but is like the real problem is the U.S. Nothing will happen, or Israel cannot do anything. They cannot uh, uh, do this genocide without the backing of the U.S. So I think whatever we talk about Israel or whatever we talk about these extremist group like Hamas or Al Qaeda or whatever the new name for it, but the problem is always the U.S. Not because I hate the U.S. I have a lot of friends from the U.S. But the problem is the real problem is how U.S. is dealing with this region, and because this like it's the only power that can do a lot because they have a lot of military bases. I think more than 800 around the world. So they are like the bullies of the world. They can use their advanced technology to bomb people like cattle. They bombed like my country was doing great. I know we have our problems in Libya, but in 2011 they came, they bombed with their allies, NATO, European countries, and the other NATO allies, and then they just left. They let this country go to chaos. And then they tell you, no, this is your problem. You need to be democratic. No, the extremists have the money and the guns to control the country now. My country is under the control of extremists. Why? Because they came, they bombed, they killed, they exterminated the Libyan National Army. They were bombing for 8 months. They were bombing my country. And then they tell you, no, they brought freedom. What kind of freedom they brought? Is they just do their own atrocities and they go. They left
Uh,
Afghanistan for their own destiny. They they occupied this country for 20 years. They were supporting Al
Hakim,
Qaeda to fight
Hakim,
mm,
you
USSR.
lost. You're like going around all the whole world. Just concentrate on this right now, on Palestine right now.
I
We
know,
don't
but
have.
Matthew, the problem is
yeah.
Palestine problem. can, the solution for Palestine problem is in Washington, not in Tel Aviv. You should know that.
Well, I think.
No, no, brother,
Uh,
no.
can I
It
say
is
this?
in
Maybe you.
Israel.
Can I say
It
this?
is in.
This is
No,
from my outside point of
yes,
view.
sir.
Yeah,
Just
outside point of
let
view.
me
But
tell him.
yeah,
Yeah, Hakim. It is in Israel because Israel controlling the U.S. All the parliaments in the U.S., Democrats or whatever, they got controlled by the Zionist. So it's not just from the U.S. It is the problem is inside Israel. This government, this Zionist. That's what we're talking about. Go ahead, Matthew.
yeah. So maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'll sound a little bit rude or generalization. Um, but when I talk with people from Arabic people, right, usually very nice. I like them. But and it's not true with everybody. But how can I explain this? It's a kind of common culture, from my opinion. Tell me if I'm wrong, okay? Where how can I say, like, my Arab friend will say, "No, brother, this one here, this is the best restaurant in the whole world. I'm telling you, this is the best restaurant." Or he'll say like, "No, this guy is the worst guy. I'm telling you, it's like this. I'm telling you, I know the truth." And he has a kind of very strong opinion. With not much nuance. And I've met other Arab guys like this, or let me give another example. Or, for example, of course, my friend's name, his name is Kaderi Abdul Kadar something, something, very long name, right? With
And
his father. So,
where
so,
he's from?
Yemen.
Okay.
Uh, but I'm so sorry. I always take a long time to express my point. But his culture is very like a tribe, right? Very like my father's father, this guy. I'm related to this guy. They have in their living room, you know. And actually, it's kind of similar. No, no, no. I'm talking about my friend from Yemen, Bev. Um, um, and actually, my grandfather's from Yugoslavia area, former Yugoslavia, and the Serbs, the Christians, and then the Muslims. Also, they're kind of like this. Very, oh, which town are you from? Who is your father's father? And even, for example, they have this expression in the Caucasus and then also in Serbia, like, oh, this guy's a dead man walking. So, for example, maybe this guy, he never did anything wrong, but his great grandfather did something wrong and somebody from the town hates him and they have to take revenge, right? So it's a kind of, how can I say, the culture in many parts of the world, it's very like tribal. It's like my local area and kind of very extreme thinking. Um, I think what happens in the Middle East is a lot of the Western countries will take advantage of this. Same way they take advantage of the Caucasus, same way they'll take advantage of like former Yugoslavia area because they know if they bomb one area, it's going to make a power group, and then this other group of people from history who had some problems with these other guys across the river, they're going to try to get revenge, right? And so I think if you look at it from a strategic point of view, the only way for the Arabs or the Lebanese or the Syrians or anybody else, if they don't want to be, for example, bombed by America or Europe or by Israel, the only way for them to do that is to create a kind of Arab NATO, and it takes like to go beyond the local tribes, to go beyond the local areas and to compromise, a lot of compromise, right? And a lot of sharing the power in the local government. But I know in order to share the power, just like in Serbia or Croatia, you have to forget about all the people who did bad things to you yesterday, and you have to think of a common collective future. And this is kind of what the Europeans managed to do somehow. They had many very similar, very small groups of people killing each other, right? But somehow after World War II, they managed to create this NATO. and this larger area stability. So if Russia attacks any of them, then they all have to attack Russia. And so I think this is a kind of cultural shift. It has to take place because in the end, actually, it's easier to control somebody, your own country's actions rather than another person's actions. Do you see what I mean? So I think the Western people, they really understand the ancient, even for example, pre-Islamic Arabic history. I read many books on the pre-Islamic peoples, and they're very tribal. You know, they control one town, and they trade with these other guys, and they have alliances and enemies, and you know, lots of raiding and this sort of thing. So it has to be more unified. Again, this is from my kind of, you know, outsider's point of view, but I think the West really takes advantage of this tribalism.
Okay, I'll try to be short as I could. Well, the Muslims and the Arab, one day, if you read the history, we control half of the world.
Oh yes, I know,
We
I
were
know,
strong.
I know.
We were strong. Plus, the way we were raised in the desert, my friend. It's a harsh life.
Yes.
It's a very harsh life. And we're not raised as to be kind and uh, our life, the way we live is very harsh. Plus,
Yes.
the last 100 year, we were under the Ottoman Empire. We were
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
but we were not strong. The Ottoman treat us as, let's say, second degree citizenship or whatever.
Oh,
They
believe
didn't
me,
care about us.
they treated the Serbians much worse. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we didn't build our countries. Let's say this area, the Gulf area or the
Yeah.
Bilad al-Sham. We didn't get a chance to build our area. We didn't get a
Right.
chance to bring. So we didn't get
Right.
enough education. We didn't have schools at that time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like small areas we teach Quran, and that's about it.
Right. Yeah.
So when the Great Britain came and Ottoman lost the First World War, they
Yes.
came and they conquer our area. We didn't have a chance
And
even to
divide.
fight
Yeah.
them. We didn't get a chance even to like fight them. They control us because we don't have weapons. We were not strong. That's what happened in even in Palestine. They didn't get a chance to fight back like the British and the French.
Yeah. So it's kind of the
This,
same thing is happening now. So it sounds like you kind of agree with me, right?
yeah, right now we're trying to like build our nation. We were building our this area. We're trying to build it up. We're trying to make our own armies. We're getting stronger. But the U.S. affects because we have oil, we have gas. This area became one of the richest areas in the whole world. It's very important. It controls like Qanat Suez. It controls Bab el Mandeb. You know, for the ships to pass through. You know, Arab countries are strong, but they not. They can't be united. If they're gonna be united,
Yeah.
let's say like Europe, they will
Yeah.
control everything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
that's what
what
I
it
mean. A
scares
kind
the
of
U.S.
NATO. I think that's, of course, my opinion is a very extreme point of view, but I also think
Yeah,
it's kind of true because it's very easy for the West to come in, give money to one group, and say,
yeah,
"Hey, those motherfuckers, they over there, they hate you. They're your traditional enemies," and then you get those to fight the other guy. It's the same thing in Yugoslavia. My grandfather's he has a kind of same stubborn, very. Oh, you know, because the Serbians, right? Like they hate the Albanians, right? Oh, never trust the Albanian, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's kind of bullshit because Albanians are just as nice as anybody else. But that's the historical thinking and very, very stubborn thinking, always thinking about the past, always thinking about the group. And actually, Jews is not so different. They're very tribal also. They're very, very tribal. So the first country in that can unite this area, they're gonna, you know, achieve some things. But of course, easy to say, right? It's easy to say.
Israelis. Let's talk about the Israelis. You know the people who lives in Eilat, city of Eilat. City of Eilat is at the Aqaba Gulf, the Gulf of Aqaba. It's a small city. This city, it didn't grow because the people who lives inside it, the Jewish people, they don't accept the outsiders. Even from the Jewish, another Jewish tribe or whatever, they don't
Yes, yeah,
accept them.
yeah,
And they still, in
yeah,
the other side, you see the city of Aqaba, the Jordanian city of Aqaba. It grows like 7 times bigger.
yeah,
But Eilat is the same. It's the same, it's like almost the same buildings. Nothing changed for the last
yeah.
20 years.
Yeah,
I see
it's
that
it's it's
Well,
in our own eyes.
yeah, I think, my people, like, actually I'm Slovak, but the Slovaks, they moved down to former the Serbia area to kick out the Turks. So that's my family's history. They tried to kick out the Turks, but yeah, they have to expand. Look, extreme example. My a Macedonian friend, Macedonian girl, right? Kind of Greek, influence of Turkey, influence of Greek, really old style. Her father, when she was like 20, brought her back to her family's home village, to the original home village, and because he wanted her to marry a boy only from their village, because he only trusts people from that town, even though the father's been in Canada 40 years. Oh, his daughter has to marry a guy from that village, from his village. And then he had to check the family's history of this boy to make sure he doesn't have like one drop of Muslim blood for like 6 generations or something. This kind of thinking is the problem with the Yugoslavia, with the Caucasus. Of course, like Dagestanis are similar. The Croatians, Albanians, many smaller groups in Turkey and Greeks. Oh, the worst guys, they're the guys in Crete. They're very, very specific about their tribe. But if our trust level is only in the nearest group of people, then you can never build a large area of trust and cooperation.
Okay,
but
drop this thing.
Matthew,
Okay,
Matthew, you
drop
should
the
know.
story. You like right now, Matthew.
Yeah.
Drop the story in Palestine. Take it as example. You will never see Palestinian, like Muslim Palestinian, getting married to uh, uh, Israeli Jewish girl, or a Jewish person who getting married to a Palestinian. But some areas, let's say the Palestinians who was got occupied in 1948, they are became a Jewish, sorry, Israelis, and they
Yeah,
are getting marrying each other. So
yeah,
that area is getting, let's say, a peaceful area.
yeah.
But
It's good.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
When mind changes, generation after generation, it will be different. Like
yeah, yeah,
before in 1948, the Jewish and the Muslim, the Palestinians, I mean, even in Syria, even in Iraq, even in Morocco, they
yeah.
used to
They
live
get married each
each
other. Yeah,
like next to each other.
yeah. I
We
know.
had no problems. We had for hundreds and hundreds of years. We don't have any problems. But when the Zionists came,
Zahid,
everything changed.
Zahid, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like, do you know anyone from Arab 48 who married a Jewish or a Zionist person?
Yeah, there's some stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not all the same. There's some very flexible, very open-minded Jewish people. Actually, there's many, but in the media, often these very flexible, open-minded Jews. Sometimes the other Jews say, "Oh, you're bad. Oh, you don't like
Okay.
Netanyahu. You are just a
I'm gonna.
leftist." Blah blah blah.
I gotta tell Noah this in Arabic. Noah إلى أصحاب يا زلمة من جماعة ال 48 تجوزوا يهوديات أوكرانيات ما
Oh,
جوزوا
okay.
صبر.
Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. Okay, I don't blame them.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, Scotty's there. His people used to be very tribal. Well, like the most in the world. Actually, the most tribal people in the whole world right now is the people in Papua New Guinea. You can watch a documentary about them. It's very interesting. But Scotties, the Scotland tribes, up until around 1700, there's, I think, 23 villages in the Scottish Highlands. The houses were made out of the human skin, really. And they never trust anybody. And if you like went to the wrong guy's village, or if you look at their sheep or you took their sheep, you're dead and your family is dead too. So they were very, very, very like this
Yeah, that was the
before.
Picts. That was the Picts that did that.
Well, even so, and then it's an interesting kind of really off topic, but when the King George wanted to settle parts of Southeast USA, he sent in these Highlanders, so tribal people, into the United States area. And they didn't even learn how to read or write. I think in the year 1800, I think only 10% of southern USA people could
The
read and
women were
write.
worse. Yeah, the
Yeah.
women were worse than the men.
Yeah, and these people, they'll like, if you look at them the wrong way, they're just going to kill each other. So it's a very old culture, you know. So sometimes I think, I guess what I'm saying is the world is always putting a lot of stress and a lot of competition on all the world's cultures. And unless you change and adapt to that specific kind of stress, then kind of you're left behind. It's just like America is like, you know, shutting down this trade, right? Because the Chinese are making better stuff now. So the Americans are putting these tariffs. You know, the meaning of it is they just don't want to compete. They want to put their head in the sand and pretend there's no competition. This is not adaptation to the outside stresses, right? So I feel like all the people in the world, all the education systems, we have to always constantly adapt our cultures and our way of working and our technology to keep up with everybody else. I don't see any other way. I wish the world was different, but I think you always have to adapt and change.
Absolutely. You could be like Ludwig, stuck in the olden days. All right, Rolf.
All right, how's it going?
Yeah, good mate. Good mate. You?
Pretty good, thanks. It's interesting to hear a bit about Yugoslavia. I went there a long time ago before it was wrecked by NATO, and it's interesting to hear about the different, obviously, factions who have these old grudges that, in my opinion, the West deliberately exploited. The CIA's, there's pretty good documented evidence that the CIA got in there and agitated and even funded militias, even brought them in from outside to help stir up the civil war.
Yeah, a lot
Don't know
of
if you
parts of
heard
the
that.
world, people always looking back in time. They don't look in the future.
Yeah, exactly. They need to move on from the old grudges that they bear.
Yeah,
And it's very hard, though, and it's so easy for outsiders to prey on those divisions. And you know,
exactly.
yeah, the West, the British were experts at this, always sending in their lot, like
Yep.
covert spies, feel it out, study the local culture, see which side we can align with and who we can turn against the other. Classic divide and conquer
Yeah.
techniques. Yeah, yeah,
Well, the British Crown was doing it, setting the you know the people that lived on the British Islands against one another for
yeah,
2,000 years. So they have a long history
yeah.
and expertise at it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Did you hear any direct evidence of CIA operations
I've
in
heard of that.
Yugoslavia?
I've heard of
Okay,
that.
but
Yeah, I've heard.
you don't have much concrete
You know
evidence of it.
what? From my perspective, I think the
Mm.
fault lays in very stubborn Yugoslavs, and I mean, if they can be exploited so easily,
Mm.
they need to change. That's my opinion.
Well, when I visited, there was no sense of tension at the time. It felt on the surface to a visitor as a very peaceful country. there were some beginnings of stuff happening. There were political flyers on the. I think we visited a university or something, and then when I was on a train crossing over into Italy, I think it was, or Austria, we got told to get off the train. These security people or whatever they were threw us off the train at one point randomly, no explanation. So I think tensions were brewing. But personally, I don't get the sense that there were enough reasons for these animosities to just randomly suddenly spike like that. So my opinion and many other observers believe that the West didn't want a socialist country within what you could call Western Europe, and we had to dismantle it because the West hates socialism.
Yeah,
We left stay behind groups after World War II
yeah,
to intentionally try to prevent any socialist governments taking hold in Europe, and that included Italy. We did lots of covert operations, especially in Italy.
yeah.
They allegedly sabotaged one of our Labour prime ministers, Harold Wilson, and
Right.
because he was too left wing. So there's a widely held view that it was primarily to take down Yugoslavia and weaken,
Yeah,
Eastern Bloc influence. So I don't think if it wasn't for us, I think Yugoslavia would have just progressed like the other European nations. We all had grudges against each other, and I think to your point, time always heals. The generations would have
does.
replaced the old guy, and I think they would have found a peaceful way forward. In my opinion, I don't think that war had
Yeah.
to happen.
That's exactly what I found with Poland, Rolf. Because I
Mm,
got a house, I bought a house out there, like I told you before. When I went out there, when I
yeah.
opened up that factory for ski, and
Hmm.
when I went out there, it was the most fascinating place. I mean, everybody
Mm,
was moaning about Polish coming here, taking the jobs, taking the country, all that
yeah.
rhetoric,
Right. Right.
and they didn't have a clue really. Because when I
Yeah.
went over there, they've got a beautiful country of their own.
Yeah.
They're coming over here for simply to just to try and better their life a little bit to get the
Of course.
foot in the door, which is any father or any family would do that.
Of
Yeah.
course.
And but their country and the way of living, and it's like our grandparents used to say, oh, when they used to leave the door open and invite you
Hmm.
in, and the neighbours would all make food and look after the kids and all
Yeah.
that. That's exactly how it was. Like, and I found that I've never seen that before. I'd heard
Mm,
about it, but never seen
right.
it, and it was
Nice.
amazing. The group of people were
Mm,
amazing, and I mean, like Yugoslavia wouldn't be that far away,
right.
so it was
Yeah.
just an amazing, absolutely amazing place, amazing group of people. I
Hmm.
recommend anyone to go there. The beaches were lovely. It was just like the beaches were just as good as any Turkey, any Spanish beach, if not better. So
Hmm.
it's
Right.
Where are you
just a
talking about? Are you talking about Croatia?
Poland, Poland.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I mean, this is goes like my whole argument always on Clubhouse has been that we're our own worst enemies. It's the
ignorance,
human brain. It's the human brain that tricks us into thinking that other people are a threat to us. And because
ignorance,
both
I
sides
think.
do it, then yeah, because both sides they actually do end up becoming a threat to each other. We have two main parts of the brain. You have the frontal cortex, which is where you do like all your real thinking, math problems, thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow, running a business. Okay, that's like the smart party. And then we have a very very old part, which is the amygdala, and it's always seen threats, and it's also responsible for tribalism. The amygdala is, oh, these are my people, I can trust them 100%. Those people over there, I can't trust them. And really, this is the problem. The problem is that everybody thinks the enemy's outside, but it's not. It's our operating machine, our computer, our brain, the thing that we think with, the thing that we use to see the world with and to interact other people with. It's got some imperfections to it. And this is really the big problem, you know?
I think males are more prone to that form of behavior than females.
Yes.
So do
Yes,
I.
but females are driven primarily by protecting their children.
Yes.
So a lot of women I have a friend in Haifa in Israel. She's the nicest lady, honestly. She's the nicest lady in the world. She's also a perfumer, like me. She makes perfumes. But we can't see eye to eye about the Gaza thing because she really thinks that if the people in Gaza are given any amount of power, that the first thing they're going to do is, like, kill her children.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
she really thinks
better.
that. And it's
Yeah.
hard, and when you see what's going on there, it's hard to disagree with her. Maybe they would, right? Maybe
Well,
if the world would let them,
I mean,
all
it's
of the
easy.
Gazans and Jews would just completely destroy each other if they could. If they both had guns, they
Well,
just
that's where
wouldn't
I disagree,
compromise.
okay? Because get to the point people made earlier, they were living together peacefully. And
Yes.
yeah, so I agree that there's a reality now that we're stuck with, right? But there's two factors to it. One is, as many people have said, well, if you stop fucking genociding and persecuting these people, they wouldn't be violent. But there's so much propaganda demonizing Arabs as just intrinsically barbaric, violent people. And that's part of the indoctrination throughout Israel, which we know about, right? They get that indoctrination twice as bad as Westerners. So first of all, there's that sense of prejudice that they're just intrinsically violent people,
Well,
and
it's
on
not
top
that
of that,
simple
no, I
because
know,
the Arabs do
I know,
live with the the
yeah, that's
Jews and
right,
Arabs live closely to each other.
they
Yeah.
do, yeah. I'm just saying
But
that's a factor. I'm not saying that is the fundamental issue
Yes.
here.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's one layer, and then on top of that, obviously they're gonna have built up animosity naturally to what's been done to them. Right. So we're stuck with that
Yes.
reality. And what I'm saying is there's two factors to this. One, obviously the Israelis shouldn't have ever done that, right? We can't turn back the past, but they have to accept some of the blame because they had the option all along. Israel had choices and it constantly, repeatedly made evil choices right from day one when they started creating terrorism, evicting and murdering and massacring the local Palestinians. All of this is documented. This is not weird anti Semitic bias. There obviously were Arab violent factions as well, right? But the West is partially to blame because we encourage this artificial state to be implanted into that country where Jewish people and Muslims and Christians were already living there, somewhat very harmoniously from what we can tell in that recent part of history. And so all these factors went together to create the horrible situation we've got now. But having said that, even now, no matter how horrible the Palestinians have been treated, there's still not all of them want to wipe out Israel. There's still a group. So obviously that woman is scared, and she might even say, "Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
all Arabs want to kill us. My
Oh, no,
fear
no,
is
no.
the extremists,"
Yeah.
and that is a valid point. There are the extremists, so
Well,
that point is
Matthew,
valid. But
the
Matthew,
it's
other thing is if
Matthew,
everybody,
have you ever asked to her when she says like, "Oh, I think all
right?
the pro-Palestinians, right-wing extremists, jihadis, whatever term you want
Right.
to put on them," right? Has it ever occurred to her that that is perhaps an outcome of what you have been doing to them for
Yeah.
76 years? Like
No, no.
they
She's
don't.
stubborn. She's stubborn. Yeah.
Oh, this is just like October the 7th,
Yeah.
anti-Semitism, Jew hatred type of a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
holds. That
It's
cannot
very look.
happen.
It's very very hard. Look. Look. Let me give you an example. It's very hard for people to criticize their own in group. This is a human thing. None of us look even I've been in these rooms where it's like white people and black Americans and white Americans, and they're saying like the black people might say, what the white slave owners did was wrong. And then of course, I mean obviously it's wrong. But there's still some people, just because they're maybe have white skin, or they have some kind of, in their mind, they have some kind of association with whiteness or something like this, right? Some abstract, okay? So they kind of associate themselves, these white people, with these slave owners, but actually they have nothing to do with them. And so it's really hard for the human brain to think as an individual. Like, you know, I say this all the time on Clubhouse. Even if my own father did something retarded and cruel and stupid, I'm not going to stick up for him, right? But people are tribal, so they want to defend their in group. And so, but this is a problem that we all have. You know, we will tend, if someone from our own in group does something stupid or bad or wrong, we do tend to stick up for them. And this is kind of, again, this is the amygdala sort of thing, right? This is a
Well,
flaw that
I actually
operates.
disagree that it's biological. And the reason I disagree is because I grew up in a world where it was so obvious one's upbringing determined that outcome.
Okay.
Because I was genetically essentially the same as my neighbors and so on growing up. But
Exactly.
even from a very young age, I was hyper aware of how different my parents' worldview was and the way
Yeah.
they brought us up. So they brought us up from a very early age, one, to not be racist at all,
Yeah.
two, to be willing to challenge every single sort of assumption, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which included our in group are the good guys, right?
Right.
So they would challenge our own government, they would challenge our group as the white people as a group, they would challenge our British history.
Yeah.
On the German side, they would challenge the German viewpoint. We knew Hitler was a liar and deceived the German people.
Yeah.
So we were raised, our whole family, with that perception. And
Yeah.
you're right that the default, if we
Yes.
weren't raised that way, would be to have
That's what
this
I'm saying.
simplistic,
Yeah.
tribal view. So,
Yeah.
there's two layers to it. But culturally, if we were all raised in a country that actively encouraged more of that kind of questioning analytical thought,
Yes.
things would be
Yes.
different. And when I observe
Yes.
Asians in particular discussing and analyzing political issues, I see
Yeah.
a very different mindset where they're
They
able
do.
to be
Yes.
way more objective and calm, whereas I see Westerners tending to be way more knee jerk, reactionary, and hunkering down just because it's my in group, right? Asians do it as well.
Geography comes,
But
yeah,
yeah,
geography is really important too, because you have to
yeah.
understand that the Jews and the Arabs, basically, they come from a group of people who lived for thousands of years in the desert, and they could only trust a small number of people to take care of a well. That's the
Mm.
basis of the entire culture, mostly, except for along the sea or along large city trade ports. But the people that lived on the interior, the shepherds or the camel caravans or the traders, import export guys, they could only extend their ring of trust very, very small. So this is a massive problem for both the Arabs and the Jews. Their cultural foundations are, and you know, it's going to be very, very difficult for Israel or for any country in this area to remain and to be democratic, because there's space for, how can I say, in North America we've got giant oceans on either side, right? Canada, Mexico, United States is all really good friends, right? So we have no real threats. We have no long, long history. Well, we did, but it was erased. The Europeans killed all the native people basically and killed their history.
Mhm.
But we have a massive margin for error in North America. Whereas if you're a landlocked nation, and you're in a small country and there's no huge border differences or massive mountains or seas or rivers that separate you from other people, your margin for error is very, very small. And then you throw in different religious groups, and then you throw in this history of tribalism. It's a very difficult place to create large countries that cooperate harmoniously with each other, like in Europe or something like that. It's because of the geography.
Well, again, I think
But
those things were true, but the modern world is changing that
yeah, but
dynamic,
brother Ralph,
right?
if I
Yeah,
can
go ahead.
quickly say,
Hi, Zero.
I
Yeah.
mean, people keep doing that. They keep trying to equate these white European people with the Israel people that lived in that land. Because this guy said thousands of years. No, the Arab people. Okay, what you're saying about the tribes, and all. Okay, but that has nothing to do with these white European colonialists who came here. Just because they converted to a religion doesn't make them the people of whose religion they converted to.
They're not
Well,
from that area. They're not from that
I
region.
get what you're saying. I get what
Okay.
you're saying, but what I'm saying is that the geography of that region, it presses a cultural mindset onto the people. So the geography does, in fact, to some degree, dictate how a culture forms, and just the shape of the country, the sparse environment, this sort of thing. This is part cause for it. The other thing you do have to remember is that the Jews in Europe were outcast, right? They were outcasts, and so they are very kind of in-group, out-group people, right? You don't just convert to Judaism, right? You have to study it, and you have to do a long process. So even in Europe, they were still quite tribal.
Yeah, just like the
That's an
gypsies.
understatement.
Yeah, and the gypsies too. You can say the same exact thing about the gypsies.
Well, the main point I want to say, though, is that all of this has been true up until the modern era. But there's less and less of an excuse this because the kids are all online chatting to each other all over the world. You can have a Palestinian kid
Yeah.
living in a pile of rubble talking to someone in Shanghai and sharing their worldviews with each other. The language barriers are being eroded. The racial separation is being eroded. The geography is being eroded because the kids live in a digital space. And
Yes.
that reality is reflected in all the polls, which
Yep.
show a much lower incidence of this form of xenophobia
Yep.
and tribalism
It's
for that
changed.
reason.
It's
So that
changed.
is good news. That's positive. And that
Yeah,
also
and there's
means,
new tribes forming. There's the tribe of
yeah,
all the world's, I don't know, Call of Duty players, right? So rather than religion and geography,
mm.
our new tribe is the group of Call of Duty players, or our group is the whatever interests. I play jujitsu players. Like I
I
don't care
don't.
what you look like or who you are, or what your religion is. If I'm gonna play, we're gonna slap hands. So hopefully things change.
Well, what I
Well,
was just
well,
going
I.
to add to it
Go
was
ahead,
that it
bro.
means that the people who want division, right? We know there are powers that be that still want to play that
Yeah.
game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They now have to create division in a more
Yes.
artificial way. That's all I was going to add to that equation, right? So they have to inject more control. Then that's why you got companies like Palantir getting funded to huge amounts, like Trump has announced when he was inaugurated this huge $500 billion funding for all these fucking new AI programs and surveillance apparatus because they want to control the narrative. It's mind control basically, because they know that everything people post online is expressing their opinions, their thoughts. So they are determined to shape people's worldview and maintain that in their mind it's to prevent terrorism and to prevent crime. Of course, that's the
Yep.
narrative. But in the subtext is they want power because
Yep.
they've expressed they're losing the control. Even Hillary Clinton
Yeah.
years ago said we're losing the information war,
Yeah.
and that's what is resulting. So now it's going back to the kind of old days where it was the oligarchy versus the masses. That is the new division, the primary
Yeah.
division, and even the kids are again waking up to that to some extent. It's it goes back and forth. I mean, some of them are equally brainwashed now than ever before, but in a new way by big tech. So it's a constant challenge. Sorry, Zero. I think you were trying to say something.
No, I was just saying that everyone brings their own identity to the table. You know, you said all the youths and all that, and things are, and the tribals. No, the tribal being is still there, but they're bringing that to the table. Like, hey, I'm a Malaysian. This is what I represent as a youth. I'm a Moroccan. You know, this is what I bring to the table as a youth. I'm Chinese from Beijing. This is what I bring to the table. They're not they're not leaving their identities behind. They're not leaving their tribal identities behind, but they're bringing it to the table. And they're saying, look, we all eat, right? We all
Yeah.
sleep,
Yeah.
we all marry. You see what I mean?
Yeah. It's softening though. The other problem is that a lot of